Hi, welcome to Transitions. I'm your host, Antoinette Zloty. I'm very pleased today to have as my guests three very promising young people who are Canadian business owners. Keisha Powell Ewers, Keisha Pinder, and Phyllis Reed Jarvis. You'll hear about their stories as well. Please join us after they share their stories for a chat where we will all get together and discuss what it's like to be Black in Manitoba and what the future might look for us. I'll turn it over now to Keisha Powell Ewers.
First, I must say thanks for having me, Antoinette, on your platform. My name is Keisha Powell Ewers, and I'm the co-owner of Canis Island Grill here in Winnipeg. I immigrated from Jamaica to Canada around 2009 to pursue my studies in culinary arts here at Red River College. And after my tenure at Red River, I worked in the food and beverage industries for over 5 years here in Canada. And then I ventured into operating my own business, then KNS Catering and Rental Services. During that time, while providing catering services, I realized we caught the attention of our guests where they would ask questions. Where's your restaurant located? At that time, I used to have to rent commercial kitchens to take care of my catering. And the demand was great. I find that the need was great for island cuisine, that is authentic island cuisine. So I took the challenge and hence we have Canis Island Grill today. Over to Keisha.
Hi, Antoinette. Thanks for having me today on your platform as well. So my name is Keisha Pinder, and I am the owner of Diaspora Cafe, which is located at 101-250 Marion. And how I got started in, the coffee industry, more so coffee, is we do coffee and, traditional desserts from the islands, is my love of coffee. One of the things that my husband and we love to do is go out for coffee and visit local coffee shops, particularly those ones who are run locally. We really love to visit. And just through the years, we kind of toyed with the idea of why is there no Black owned coffee shop? Because, contrary to belief, Black people love coffee and we love tea and, we love to socialize. And another love of mine is Jamaican street food, particularly Jamaican beef patties. As a kid, before I came to Canada, I used to go to the market with my grandmother, and the one thing I always requested for lunch was a beef patty. So I figured, why not blend those two things together, that, the love of coffee drinking and, Jamaican dessert and street food. And so that's what we did in 2020 when, COVID came along. I just decided, being an HR manager wasn't for me anymore. And I really would enjoy having my own business. And so from there, the dream happened, and it came to, I guess ahead when the Black Lives Matter situation, and I just really needed to make a change in my life and go for that dream. And so that's what I did. And so we found the space, which is, was perfect. And we opened in January of 2021. And over to you, Phyllis Jarvis Reed.
Thank you so much, Keisha. And Antoinette, I'd just like to thank you for this invitation to be on Transitions. It's a wonderful service that you're giving the Manitoba community, and I applaud you for it. Thank you to my other colleague, Keisha Powell Ewers as well. And so my name is Phyllis Reed Jarvis, and I am the founder and I like to think Chief Visionary Officer for Ultimate Potentials. We're a work-life flow business consultancy. We've been around for a number of years. In this capacity, we've been around for about 6 years now, and our work really transcends 3 continents as well as in the Caribbean. Pre-COVID, we were doing really well. We worked with organizational leaders to help them use certain leadership principles to create psychosocially safe and healthy workplaces for their employees, for their customers. As well, we help them to develop the leadership principles that are necessary to build workplaces that are diverse, that are experienced as being equitable, as well as inclusive. So from the time I was a little girl, I knew that I was blessed with the gift of using words as my tool. That's my calling. And I remember being in pre-kindergarten when my teacher would ask, who would like to help me read? My hand would be the first to go up, but she would reject me. And I persisted until one day she broke down and very grudgingly thrusted the book toward me and said, read this. And at that time, I was 4 years old, and I was reading maybe even at a grade 2, 3, 5 level. She did not know this about me. And I took the book from her. I read that book with intonation, with flourish, with flair. I had my classmates were all engaged. She was blown away. And fast forward many, many years later, I'm now at the University of Manitoba. And again, I experienced that need for me to persist, because it was in my final year of the Foods and Nutrition program. My goal was to go on to become a registered dietitian, and I needed references, really good ones. So I chose to ask my professor at the time. She was very well known, highly, highly respected in the dietetics community here in Manitoba. And she and I were the only ones in her office that day. And I asked her if she would stand as a referee for me. And she said, we don't want your kind in that program. And I was stunned. I had no idea what she meant. And I asked her that, what do you mean? And she did this. She extended her arm and she ran her finger up and down. Still didn't get it because I'd never experienced anything like that before. Then it dawned on me that she was discriminating against me because of my African heritage. I then was stunned. Ended up in the washroom downstairs, the student's washroom. I had a good long cry and I wept. And then a voice said to me, Phyllis, you will wash your face, you'll go and secure 2 other references, and you will get into this program. So fast forward many years, that is what I did through the power of persistence. And I ended up with being accepted into the internship program, graduating as a registered dietitian, had an amazing career as a private practice dietitian, as a public health dietitian. All along the way, there were lots and lots of challenges, things just happening that had I, been focused on the negative aspect of what was going on, I would have given up, but I never gave up. I persisted. And then fast forward to today, pre-COVID, again, doing incredible work because I decided to switch my profession. So I'm pursuing my second career calling as an organizational development consultant. And again, the same challenges of bullying and so on, but I persisted. My business did extremely well pre-COVID. Once COVID hit, things settled down because no one was traveling. And long and short of it is we're still standing. We're still doing work. We're still reaching organizations through the power of persistence and consistency. And I look forward to sharing some of those challenges and how I overcame them and continue to overcome them as my colleagues here and I discuss our individual challenges and our journey to where we are today. Thank you.
Thank all of you. I'm very, very pleased to be a part of it. Of this experience here with you. Keisha, both Keishas, and also Phyllis, your experiences are all pretty different, but still coming from something very close to you and very motivated to do what you what you've done. So what I'm going to do is open it up now for us to have a conversation around some of the day-to-day things that you encounter. I had a similar show to this where it so happened that all of the people on the show beside myself were guys. And one of the things that we talked about was the difference in serving the Black community versus non-Black community. Can you comment on that, Keisha Pinder, in terms of the demographics of the people who are coming to your store and location and why you maybe picked that location?
Sure. So the demographic is a mixed demographic. You know, there's older retirees that come in, you know, just for grab and go right now because it's COVID. And then we also have young people as well that, you know, enjoy that coffee culture, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. In terms of, I guess, culture, I do have a lot of, you know, Black patrons or Afro-Caribbean patrons and white patrons and all sorts of backgrounds. I would say the challenge is, not a huge challenge, but the location that I'm in is in St. Boniface. And so St. Boniface is has a very French culture. And I do get the occasional person that does come in expecting me to speak French. I do have an employee that does speak French, which is great, but she's not there every day. I did have one incident though, where, you know, my youngest son, he's 13 and he's just learning the till. So he comes in once in a while just to help out when it's busy and works the till. And I did have someone come to the till and start speaking French to him, and he didn't understand. And so the person got upset. And so one of my employees, the one that does speak French, jumped in and, you know, took his order and spoke to him in French. And the person said, well, I would at least expect him to speak French or understand what I'm saying if this is St. Boniface. But I guess my issue with that was because just the idea of that you must speak a certain language to be a part of the community, I think is wrong, because that would imply that we all should learn every single language that everybody speaks. And I didn't, so that was, you know, one of the challenges, I would say, being in that location. And it's not everybody, it was just that one incident, but you do get the occasional person that comes in and starts off with their French language, but we don't speak French.
Yeah, but it sounds to me though, Keisha, that you have made some arrangement to have that person on staff, which is admirable. I would say that is a great thing that you've done. And it's good to let people know, well, maybe you would want to come in during her shift, or, you know, if you prefer to be served in French. So that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything with Keisha Powell Ewers? Have you encountered any customer relations, like where you might have had to address an issue or that came up?
Well, for me, on the business every day, being in the business every day, I find that sometimes customers, some don't know their boundaries or don't respect boundaries per se. I'd have customers who want to come beyond the counter and stuff like that, which I don't think you should be able to respect someone else's space and stuff. So I'd have to ask customers to please step back and, you know, to respect my boundaries. And also one of the challenges that I face, or we face at Kennis Island Grill, is the location per se too, because we did not conduct a feasibility study prior to opening because it was very sudden when we opened and stuff like that. So we did not look to see like if this location would be okay, feasible for the Island Grill. However, we find that we've been getting the support from customers and stuff like that. They would travel at least 30 minutes to come to our restaurants, which we do appreciate and stuff like that. And I must say that it exceeded my expectation from the Black community, that we've been getting the support from our own community, which we do appreciate and love. Yes, yes, that exceeded my expectations actually. Yeah. And I'm telling you, we've had customers who feel like family now to us and would come and just to ensure or to ask us questions. How are you guys doing? How are the kids and stuff like that? Because, you know, it can be very hectic when you're running a business and stuff like that. So, and we have the support from like our church family and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And I think that it's really great that both of you are becoming more well-known in
Yes.
the community. And, you know, the fact that people have had a restricted, some restrictions placed on where they can dine, then now people are looking like, where can I help small businesses stay in place, that stay and survive this pandemic, right? So,
Yes.
and Phyllis, with yourself being the chief person who is running your business, are there other staff, and have you encountered any language or customer issues?
Thank you so much. And I just want to quickly say to Keisha Powell-Ewers that we live at the very far southeast part of the city, and we drive from there to your store to support you.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, absolutely. And Keisha Pinder, the same. We were very committed to supporting our fellow people of African heritage business owners. So excellent. My journey is an interesting one. So you know, to tell you the truth, because we have consultants who are all over, and so we have consultants who are French speaking and English speaking and so on and so forth. So we're able to manage the language requirements that way. Where I would say that my greatest challenge was, and I didn't even realize this because the kind of person I am, my glass is always half full, always half full. It is never half empty, half full. And so I went through about 3 years of bullying when I was working with another consultant, a person of non-African heritage, and somehow she felt she needed to direct my life and direct me how I operate, and she would correct me in a critical way publicly in front of her clients. And I actually never took it as a personal attack. I saw it as her needing my support to help her learn how to give feedback, do it privately, and right. And so it was 3 years of that. And the long and short of it is, it kind of got really, really bad toward the 3rd year. And I ended up having to raise the issue with our client at the time, the CEO. And the CEO called a meeting. This person, my colleague, then didn't show up. She ended up quitting. And so she left the position. Some of the other challenges that I've noticed now that I'm looking back, right? But at the time, I never equated them to having anything to do with the fact that I'm a person of African heritage, was just how some of the folks with whom we're working would deal with small, what I call small errors, very similar to Keisha Pinder's experience. So your son doesn't speak French, and rather than either switching to English or even just leaving and go somewhere else, there's that attack because you're just not speaking French. So those are some of the subtle, they call them microaggressions that I experience, but because I'm always looking at the glasses half full, I never equated them to having anything to do with me. And I'm always looking to see how I could help these folks better experience our business and our services. So those are just some of the things that I could share right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, and you have always been, ever since I've met you, Phyllis, a very assertive person who tries to do the right thing. And I think addressing issues in the workplace, whether you're a business owner or not, is a very good thing. I think for Keisha, though, you're in a special situation where you're in a community where there is an expectation that there be some service in French. And I'll make a suggestion to you that you maybe post French language preferences. Please join us on such and such a time of the week, on Wednesdays or what have you, so that to avoid your young son and other employees being subjected to that. I think that it is unreasonable for all of us to be multilingual. It's definitely an asset for us to be multilingual. I wish I could speak more languages myself, but I would really like to see you guys be all very successful, and you're successful already, let's say more successful. So in terms of future now, to wrap up, what do you see as the future in terms of Black-owned businesses for women in the city? Because there aren't a lot. I mean, not in Manitoba anyways. You might find a higher number out east. And but for Manitoba, do you see this as a growth industry here, or a growth potential for Black women-owned businesses? You want to start with that, Keisha Powell, yours?
Currently, I'm seeing a change in the atmosphere, the business atmosphere, where it relates to Black women in business. I'm seeing more of platforms being created for us, and more accessibility to like funding and stuff like that. So I can see where we're being, or businesses are escalating in our community.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And how about you, Keisha Pinder?
Two answers to that. I do see the atmosphere changing, like Keisha Powell says. Me, myself, I'm always trying to look for Black-owned businesses first. So even if I think of a service that I'm looking for, I always look if there is a Black-owned business for that. For instance, because I'm a business owner now, I just don't have time to clean my house. It's a daunting task. And so I did have, you do one room and then that's it for the week, right? But I did find a Black-owned business who does house cleaning, a woman, and I was so excited. Like, I'm switching from who does my house cleaning to her. You know, I'm not married to, you know, whoever was doing it, the job before, but I asked her, the first thing I asked her is like, are you on Black-owned? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, why not? I find there's so many untapped businesses that we don't know about. I said, people would love to know that. There's a lot of professional people that are looking for your service. And so, yeah, so there's that. And I think when it comes to my kids, and I have one daughter, I'm always pushing them into the direction of business. My daughter's going off to university this fall, and, you know, she wants to be a lawyer, but I want her to think business. I don't want her to think I have to go work for someone. I think it's great to go to work for someone to get the knowledge of the business, but you need to always think long game of having your own. And so my husband and I, we push that in our household. Great, you can go to university, but I want you to spin it into your own business. And for a lot of Black women, I see them thinking that way. You know, they're turning their hobbies into businesses. And I think that's great.
True.
Thank you. Thank you. And how about you, Phyllis?
Great, thanks. And I do agree with the Keishas. And the other angle that yes, there is a growing number of women of African heritage who are entering the business space. Another angle that I'd like to put forward as to why this is so much more possible now than, say, before, is the fact that everyone is online. So our corporation is 100% operational online and has always been. We were never brought online by COVID-19. We were always online. And what it's done is just to normalize doing business, receiving services, and so on online even more. And as Keisha Pinder said, with more women turning their hobbies into their businesses now and can do it virtually, depending on the nature of the business, I do see that happening. So the landscape, or the market, I should say, has expanded exponentially, really, because of the online nature. You can order in your coffee. People literally order in their coffee, order in their desserts, right? And so I do see that happening. Had it not been for the pandemic, I probably would have said, because of the Manitoba population, we're so small that, you know, depending on how you want to grow as a business, it might be a bit more challenging. But because now we're all so connected online, so much more awareness. Keisha Powell, you said it, more funding, more support, more programs to help women in particular learn about businesses and stay really, you know, viable and vibrant and relevant. I see a growing trend.
I really have appreciated. I think that we could talk a lot longer. But maybe what we'll have to do is get together again for some more follow-up discussion as to how history has affected the way we think about ownership, and how we really need to maybe get out of some of our comfort zones and playing it safe, and just get in there and work on getting businesses together. So I really appreciate you all being here today, and I look forward again for another discussion. Maybe we can touch base again after we're through this pandemic. So thanks
Definitely.
for being here.
Thank you for having me. And Keisha's, it's a delight putting faces to the names, more the business names, because I knew the business names. And so, yeah, it was just a delight. And thank you.
Yeah.
It's an honor to share this space with you.
And for sure, Phyllis, I'll be looking forward to utilizing your services. I already know Keisha from Diaspora Cafe. That's my favorite coffee shop. So I look forward to utilizing your services.
Absolutely. Yes. And we will continue. My husband just said yesterday that it's time that we inject some funds into KNS Island Grill. Literally yesterday. I had no idea that you were the Keisha with KNS, but we just said it. So yeah, we're very committed to helping our community grow.
Definitely.
Yeah, looking forward to further talk about this, and more orders coming your way, Keisha.
Yes.
And Keisha.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.